This is the North End. This is the North End.
Welcome to the North End. This is the Last Call Live with myself, Brian Ireland, and Azaz is with me today. It's a quiet one. It's just the two of us chatting a little football, chatting a little top four, which I'm no longer in, talking about injuries, talking about dirt, the filth that is the Premier League. How are you, sir? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, mate. Yeah, excited to get into some of these dirty topics. Yeah, it's a bit more intimate, like a bit more one-to-one today. But I'm here for it. Let's
Yeah, it's
see how
kind of
this
nice
goes.
actually. We can only interrupt each other.
Yeah, it's
It's
so true. It's so
so
true.
that's good. Won't get too messy. How are you feeling? Just generally speaking about the season so far. We're what are
Yeah,
we in 13 games in to
yeah,
the
yeah,
season? How you
yeah.
feeling?
Very happy in terms of being a Liverpool fan. The only the only negative I can say about our season so far is we're still relatively unproven. So we don't really know if this is a flash in the pan for Klopp 2.0 and it just peters out, or we'll talk about this in a bit, but we could just be one or two injuries away from a crisis ourselves. We've got
Yeah,
Allison out
yeah.
now, Jota, so those things stack up pretty quickly. But based on the 13 games so far, I'm very happy, and particularly with the fact that it's 13 games gone and the Etihad fixture is out of the way, because I'm always one of those.
It's a big one. That's a big one. We got to
Yeah,
do that. We got to
yeah,
do that at the weekend. So.
yeah. And you've got a great record there. We don't,
Yeah, with defensive managers.
yeah, true. But you still have a great record, and we
We
absolutely
do.
don't.
It's,
So
and at home, we have a great record against City. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah. So for us, it's
ODT.
like 37 of the 38 games. We probably think that we should be taking it to the opponents because we've got Klopp and we've got Salah, and just like who
Yeah.
we are or want to be in Jurgen Klopp's form. Because I mean, once upon a time, mate, under Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez, like we had no issue with going and being like the beta team and shutting up shop and stuff. But like that's not Klopp's MO. But this is the one game in the season, like City away, where we change up our system. And the fact that we got out of there with a point, like I'll absolutely take it. So very, very content, I would say.
Yeah.
Lots of season to play, but I am enjoying it. I know there's been a bit of chat on our group that people aren't enjoying it. Like I don't love VAR. I don't love like the changes in the game, but I do think that the drama side has been a
I was
lot
just
of
going to
like
say that the
fun
drama is
shit.
huge.
Yeah. But there is also been like a lot of fun stuff as well. Like even the 4-4. I know the City the Chelsea Tottenham game would have been horrible, but the Chelsea City game was amazing. Like 4-4. Just to be able to watch some of that has been really.
To be
good.
fair, the Chelsea Tottenham game, despite it being awful, it was also incredibly entertaining as a neutral. Like if I was a neutral watching that, I'd be like, wow, that was nuts, and I would have enjoyed it. But
I just got to that family trip in Costa Rica, and like I just plugged in the Wi-Fi and stuff, so I didn't really catch the game. But then afterwards, I ended up literally watching like the whole thing because I wanted to be like, I want context here.
Yeah, context.
Like there's no 5, 12, 18-minute highlights that are gonna give me this context. How about you, mate? I know if I'd asked you this question a month ago, it would have been different, but let me know where you're at right now.
It's tough, man. I think surprisingly, I'm not like too like upset, despite being obviously the crisis that we're in as a club from an injury perspective. It is what it is. But what I'm seeing from the players, not just the players, the starting 11 that were doing so well in the beginning of the season, but the quality and effort that's coming from our so-called B team, or the players that aren't in the first team necessarily. The level that they're playing at, coming on, being given an opportunity. We outplayed Villa, completely outplayed them. Should have finished probably 4 or 5 goals. I think we're offside 5 times. I mean, had we been a little bit more on it that game, that game finishes 5-2 Spurs. Had we finished our chances, I think we had 18 shots, 8 on target to their 14-5 or something like that. So it was a pretty dominant performance possession wise as well. It just didn't take our chances, hit the post twice, just all of those little bits and pieces. And to see the team do what they did in that scenario, despite the situation we were in with the injuries and the players that are missing that have been the reason we're as good as we are this season, or were as good as we were, it's really promising for the future. And I know that's sort of like to some people not ambitious, but I see it as like where the club's going and where Ange is going to take us, because he's got all the players that normally wouldn't step up to step up. They're all going boom. I'm going to play in this position. I'm going to show what I got in here, and boom, we're going to kick ass. And Bentancur coming back, and I know that's the thing that is the hardest, because he came back and in that first 30 minutes ran the game, and it was beautiful to watch. He was just his passing was incredible, his vision, just understanding how to transition. It was like, I was like, we're fine, we'll be fine for the next 3 or 4 games.
You
may
we'll
win a couple, right? We'll lose a couple, but he was just exactly what we needed. And 30 minutes and he gets injured, so that is sort of the end point of where I'm at, is that happened, and it's just taken all the kind of like, we'll get through it, it'll be fine, that sort of positive thinking that you kind of have to get through a difficult period with your club. And now I think we're fucked. Like, I don't even know what to say. We don't have anybody to play any positions. I think Romero's out for one more game. He will make a big difference coming back, certainly, but who plays beside him? We still don't have anybody who can play remotely close to the way Van de Ven plays. And that was a massive part of how we played going forward. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult December. I think we'll probably finish the season well. So I'm keeping that in my mind, that this is a temporary crisis. This is going to show a ton of character to the team. It's going to show the people at the top that there's a problem, and then it's going to show Ange what he needs, and hopefully that relationship will be better than it's been before, because it's been a challenge to get to back managers when they need to be back. But this is probably the most important moment of Levy's tenure when it comes to that situation, because there's an opportunity here with this coach to really back him properly and to actually put ourselves in that conversation of winning a league. And I honestly think if backed properly, then that we're in the conversation. Doesn't mean we're going to do it, but we're in the conversation a lot more.
Yeah, I just think to add to that as well, in terms of a top 4, and it might even end up being top 5, but in terms of a top 4 position, so we were abysmal for a third of the season last year, average for a third, and excellent for a third. And we almost made the top 4.
So it's doable.
It's doable. Very doable. Everybody looks at like those. You
got to go for a run of games when you get your players back.
Yeah, and everyone looks at those like City and Liverpool title charges and thinks you have to win every game for everything. You only have to win every game to win a title ahead of Pep. You don't have to win every game to come top 4.
No, exactly. Win the league is the only way to do it.
That's the only point where you have to win every game.
And everybody else is going to lose games for sure.
Yeah, because over the years, like I've noticed as a Liverpool fan who lost 3 of those leagues and won 1 of those leagues, I now look at like other fan bases and I'm like, why are you tripping? Like, why are you so pissed off that you just drew this relatively hard game away? Like, you ain't winning the league anyway. It's like
you realize what league you play in, right? Like, it's not an easy league, right?
I feel like people suck their own enjoy. That's why earlier in the season, when you were like writing in our group that like, I'm really enjoying this, like I was like, sick, like this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Is the point of
someone's
football,
enjoying
right?
it.
Like celebration police come in and say you're not allowed to enjoy it. You just did this, you just did that. I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy it. Screw you.
The one time I called you out on the celebration police, the one time was because it looked like Tottenham were having a parade after you beat us. That was the only time I was like, what was that? Other than that, I think every time I was do it, man. Like, enjoy it. You've had Conte, you've had Mourinho, you've had Nuno.
Yeah, it's been brutal. The context of that quickly, though, is as the context of that was they had been doing that every game, to create this relationship with the fans, where they walked around and so that I think it was really highlighted in that game because of the way it had happened. But that every game prior to that, that's what the team had done. It wasn't about like having a parade. It was about just thanking the fans. And that was the point of it. But I get how cringy that can come off to some people when it's
I hadn't seen it before that. I hadn't seen it. I knew that you had an amazing.
It had been a regular thing at every game. So it came off as being arrogant, I think, in that scenario. But the players were like, no, this is about our relationship with our fans. For us, that's everything we've missed
Of
in the
course.
last 4 years.
Of
So it's
course.
just we're like, whatever, man. Screw you guys. We've
Yeah.
had so much bad luck. We're gonna take it when we can. So
And then right around the corner was a shitload more bad luck. So
oh,
what
the
you gonna
Chelsea
do?
game just
Yeah.
destroyed our
Yeah.
season completely.
And
All right, well,
it
let's get into
started so well. Sorry,
yeah.
mate. That
Look,
game started
I
so
know.
well as well.
Oh, it was an
Yeah.
incredible game. It was
Yeah.
it was about to be one of the best Premier League games you'd probably will ever
Yeah.
watch because of
Yeah.
the quality going forward for both teams. I think Spurs probably would have edged it,
Yeah.
or maybe even comfortably won it had
I
we
think you
stayed
would have
fit.
hammered them.
I
you
think
would
well, I
have
think they
hammered
came
them.
back into the game, and I think that's where we looked young and kind of not prepared
No.
because they
Yeah.
came into the game and they got physical with us, and we got physical back, and that overreaction is what
Okay. That
happened with
makes
Romero and some of the other players, and also all the stops. It was just like
Yeah.
that's why Van de Ven arguably got injured because he kept stopping and starting, and you can that's when you pull muscles because you
Yeah.
get cold, you're standing around for too long. So
Yeah.
that's what Andrew was like. I was about to pass him out balls so they could kick the ball around, stay warm.
Yeah.
It's good. But yeah, I was just gonna say Paul prepared some stuff for us to talk about.
Perfect.
So let's have a quick check of what he's got here. So dirty or not dirty, and so this is obviously the Villa game. This is Bentancur. This is the moment for me where I thought, oh man, that now we're screwed, especially with AFCON coming up and the Africa, not the Asian game,
Yeah.
or would say Asian
Yeah.
Cup, I think it's called.
Asian Cup.
So Sonny's gone, Sar's gone, and Basuma's gone, all at the same time in January, for all three of those, and we needed a really solid midfielder to manage that Sar and Basuma part of it. And we saw what happened. We saw that Matty Cash, who this is not the first time he's done that. He actually did it in the same fixture last year to another one of our players who was out for 2 months afterwards because of it. Nowhere near the ball, hacks his leg. You don't even have the ball in the picture. You can't even see it in this picture. So it tells you everything about his intent. It's from behind.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I know people are like, oh, it's so soft. It doesn't hit him that hard. It's like, it's not about how hard you hit him. It's the intention to injure an opponent. That's where the red is, not because, oh, it wasn't hard enough. He didn't break his leg. He could have broke his leg. He snapped his ankle and now he's out for 2.5 months. For me, it's a red card. I think it didn't even look at it. VAR didn't even look at it. And we haven't had a single penalty called for us this season. Considering there's been a bunch of them that, what? How is that not a pen? Just been a weird season for us in that scenario. For me, this is a red card. I'm curious what you think is as. Are you?
I think it's a red card all day. Like I compare it to the Pickford challenge on Van Dijk from a couple of years ago. It's
I
like,
think you said it in the WhatsApp.
I'm like, I'm not saying Pickford went to tear Van Dijk's ACL. Like that would be a really wild stretch because I ain't a professional goalie with small arms. Like I don't know what is inside his mind, but I also know that he didn't give a shit what he was doing. Like I do think that while competitiveness is huge, you still have a bit of a duty of care towards your,
I think so,
like opponents and your rival. And like you can't just not care about anything that you're doing. And like
there's got to be a mutual respect for people.
Definitely,
understand that, like they've got to get up and go to work the next day, and they've got to, in whatever capacity, whether it's that's their job or whether it's Sunday league, and the guy's got to get up for work and can't because somebody hacked him.
Completely. Yeah, so to me, it is a foul. It is. I would give those things as red cards. It just comes back down to consistency. Because same thing, like they didn't even give us a penalty for that one. Like they were like, what was that? That accidental challenge that Pickford did? Like, what was that? Like he didn't take the ball. They originally gave Van Dijk offside, but he's not offside. So now it's onside, which means it's a penalty and a red card. They gave him nothing. And I see exactly the same thing here, which is Matty Cash seems to see red, like he sees like red mist. So like I definitely don't think he's like, I'm gonna go and get him to tear his ligament. Like I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that type of intent, but is the intent that is out of control. He's out of control. He's not in his head. He's not doing something with decisively to try to take the ball. He knows that I'm not getting there. When you're not getting there. You play football. You know when you're not getting there if you leave it into somebody. And it usually comes from like your brain kind of going off on a like aggressive moment. And in the intensity of a game, and that that in itself for me is just irresponsible, and it needed to be called a red. I don't know how JP, our good friend JP California, argued it. I guess because it's his player. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. The bias came into play, and he's like, "Oh, come on, it's not, it's barely a yellow. They didn't even VAR it." Like, if we're gonna say they didn't even VAR it, and then complain about VAR from like the last since it's been invented, like how do you then go they didn't like use it as an excuse? Doesn't make any sense. But so let's get into this. Sort of leads to the next topic, which is who's the dirtiest.
So I did some homework for us.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So I'll list a few of these names. Now this is not hearsay. This is based on official like yellow and reds towards that, like, and it was for last season, so full season. So from top to bottom, I'll read the names and then we'll discuss.
And then maybe we have some
add any honorable mentions.
I like this.
So Jeffrey Schlupp is number 10. Then joint at number 7 is Douglas Luiz. I'm sure JP won't like that. Even Tony, he's a different kind of dirty as well.
He is.
Kai Havertz.
Havertz, Huh.
Yeah, low key.
Okay.
Fabinho, we can take him out because he was a dirty shit, but he's out of the league now.
He's not in the league.
Palhinha from Fulham.
Yeah, he's got a bit in him, doesn't he?
Yeah, Nelson Semedo, Casemiro, Moises Caicedo, and Joe Linton was.
You got to put Romero in that conversation.
Well, I was going to be honorable mention. I was going to be like, let's eat.
You got to put him in there.
I'm putting Romero in. Now, can I just say before I say that as well? I love Romero. Like,
he's amazing.
I've always been a big fan of Argentinian football, and like that was like the daddy of their defense.
He's a proper center half. With the right grit,
Exactly. And Argentina do this thing where they have like obviously Messi or Maradona or whoever is the captain, but then they have a captain for each part of the team. He's the captain of the defense. Like,
and he's doing that at Spurs now too.
So like Otamendi is highly experienced, Martinez is highly touted, but Romero is the captain of the Argentina defense. So honorable mention, even though like not honorable mention, sorry, contender. I'm putting him as a contender, but I do want to give him a shout out as well. So who's the dirtiest? Go from the names I just mentioned, like, or anybody else? Who are you thinking?
Can you go through them quickly? Just last name.
Yeah. So it's Schlupp, Douglas Luiz, Tony, Havertz, Palhinha, Semedo, Casemiro, Caicedo. Lots of O's, and Joe Linton.
I'm probably going Palhinha in that conversation.
Okay. All right.
From what I've seen of him, like he like what Cash did in against Spurs. He always leaves it in there, and he's often late. And it's you can tell in his head he's got a bubble that is ready to burst when he's in it, and I've seen it a lot from him. Like every time Spurs play him, I'm like, oh, that guy, that fucker, he's always wreaking havoc. He's always he's one of them. There's a few in there though. Havertz is an interesting one because it's in a different way.
But he played left back last week for Germany.
I heard that he played left back for Germany, right?
So random. From this list and the ones we've mentioned, I actually honestly might have to go with Romero being the dirtiest bastard. Like he's got so much needle. But a couple
I'm
of
only
people
not picking him because of how much I love him, but I think
but the other couple that need to be in that. So one of them is
Cash has to be added.
I
think after what happened, I would pick Cash if you had put him in that list. For me, especially with what happened, because it's happened 2 years in a row against us as well, and it's just complete disregard for your opponent. So as much as I said Palhinha, who I do think is very dirty, and I think they're dirty in the same way. It's sort of it's a red. It's a they go into the red, and they're like once they do something, and then they didn't realize I did that almost. It's such out of control behavior. But So who are you picking? You pick. You pick Romero. You got a second one. You got a.
I would pick Romero. I think low key someone who deserves to be in that list, but would never, for whatever reason, get penalized that way. I think Rodri's a really big culprit.
He's got some. You know what he's really good at is a professional foul.
Yeah, he's always at the scene of the crime.
His timing on those, but it's genius. It's almost to the point where you're like, he gets away with it because his timing is always perfect. He doesn't look out of control. It looks like he knows exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
They're
And you know
really
who
smart.
was the one before that? Fernandinho. So
Yeah,
that number 6 from Man
it
City
is a
is
very
like,
yeah. Basuma does a bit of it as well, but he's not as
does he?
clever. I don't think. Yeah, he does a bit
Yeah.
of it. But he different type of player, but similar position. What about dirtiest team? You got a dirtiest team in the league at the moment? Who do you think if we're gonna sort of maintain this conversation? Who's the dirtiest team across the board? I'm trying to think.
There's no like Wimbledon style
Yeah,
of
there's
team, like
Millwall.
there's none of them like
Yeah,
really in the Premier League at the
it's changed
moment.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
You don't get as much of that. You probably obviously the teams that are trying like the newly promoted teams, they're gonna spend some time trying to like improve their football. They arguably have to be a little bit more aggressive because that's
Mhm.
the thing that they can maybe get over on a better opponent.
Yeah. I don't think we've got any of those. Like, we've not got a Sean Dyche Burnley. We've not got like a Stoke,
Yeah,
you know?
even Everton are playing like pretty good football under Dyche.
Yeah, they are. They
It's
actually
kind of
are.
crazy. Yeah, you know
Um,
what? I don't think. Okay, let's do this then. Not this season. Dirtiest Premier League team since the Premier League started.
oh,
Like
it's
what
got to
year
be
and
an early.
what
It's
club?
got to be an early Wimbledon or Sheffield United.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going with one of those.
All right.
Neil Warnock, Sheffield United.
I feel like that's fair. Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
What about Blackpool? They were pretty bad under.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy's name, but bald fella who was their manager when the one time they came up in the early 2000s.
Blackpool also had like some like artistry going on as well, though. So
They
it's
did,
hard
yeah.
to
They
like
played
pick
some
them.
really
Yeah.
good high pressing football, from what I
Yeah.
remember. It was sort of yeah, it was new for them. All right, well, we did Who's the Dirtiest. That was a fun one. I enjoyed that. If you got anybody, if you're watching this afterwards, tell us in the comments who's your dirtiest,
Yeah.
dirtiest player, dirtiest team this season, and then in the Premier League, and then dirtiest of all time in the Premier League since 1993, and it was born. Top 4 fixtures in December. Zaz, this is what we're talking about now. This is Arsenal, Villa, Man City, Liverpool are our current top 4. And who would have predicted that? I think the obviously the surprise in there is Villa. Good on them. They've done really well. They've had a reasonably, well, not even reasonably. The record at home is absurd. They're very, very good at home. Road record not great, but is improved. Obviously, having beaten Spurs, that was a big win. Out of these fixtures you're looking at, Arsenal, Wolves, Luton, Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Fulham, Villa, Bournemouth, Man City, Arsenal, Brentford, Sheffield, Man United, Burnley. City's got Spurs, Villa, Luton, Crystal Palace. The weekend off, it looks like Everton.
No,
and
that's when they're in the World Club Cup.
Oh, that's World Cup.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. And then Liverpool, Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Man United, Arsenal. Honestly, I don't even see a heck of a lot of difference in those run of games for any 4 of those teams. There's not like a standout 3 games in a row where you're like, that team's going to drop 9 points. Like I don't see that there. I feel like it was pretty kind of like, yeah, they're probably, if they're playing, it's maintaining the form that they're currently in, they'll probably be relatively close to the same positions that they're in.
Yeah. So I can go, I guess I would start first with Liverpool because I'm closest to them and I kind of know their run. So so we've just started picking up a couple of injuries here and there. The latest one being Alisson and Jota.
How long
and
is Alisson out for? That's a big one.
They're saying he should be back by United, which is in that list. United is the 17th of December. So so if you look on the last row, United, MUNH,
you got 3 games to play: Fulham, Sheffield, Crystal Palace before that. That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Yeah. So if we were to win, so if we were to play those games, if we were to play any run of games without Alisson on paper, that's the run you want.
Yeah, you're kind of lucky there. I wish we
had that. And then after that, we've got 3 big home games back to back to back. So it's Man U, Arsenal, Newcastle, and then the Arsenal and Newcastle games.
Wow, that's a run of games. That's the 3 I was talking about. That you get that, and you're like, damn, I'm looking forward to that. See how you guys come out at the other end.
Exactly. So for us, it's not just going to be an entertaining Christmas, but by January 1, which is the Newcastle game, we're going to know who we are. There's so much hype, and then there's a lot of like every fan base has the shit houses that are like, no, we're not that good. We are going too early. Then you've got like some people on the hype train, like we're this and
We're
we're
gonna
that.
win the league.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah,
every
by-
fan base, whether when you're in
yeah,
the top four, right? So
yeah.
we
By
had
January
that
1st.
period of time for the beginning of the season. So yeah, I mean, I think you guys will come through that 6 pretty good, but that Arsenal, Man U, Arsenal, Burnley, Newcastle, that's tough. Burnley in the middle of their away is not a hard game necessarily.
Yeah.
They've been pretty crap, but Man City, Spurs, Villa. I mean I guess Villa have got City right after us. Good for that. That makes me happy.
At their ground as well,
At
which
their
is
ground,
a really
yeah,
hard
it's
place
away,
to go.
so they're going through what Spurs are going through in that scenario. Yeah, and then they've got Palace, Everton, Sheffield. I mean, those are I think I see City coming strongly out on top. I think Arsenal. Let's talk about Arsenal a little bit. Wolves, Luton, Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Fulham. That's not an easy run either.
No.
Looking at that, I mean, they're in good form, so I'd expect them to probably get pretty good points out of that. But what are your thoughts on Arsenal this season and where they're looking to finish after that run of games?
You can't deny that they've played well and are on form because they're top of the league, but they make everything look hard. Other than today in the Champions League. Other than today in the Champions League, they were brilliant. But like in the Premier League, they make every game look hard, right? And like even the other day, it's like, they got like a last couple of minutes winner against Brentford, and that's like the story of their season. To be honest, it was somewhat the story of most of last season as well, which
especially
is why
the end of it.
Yeah, so a lot of people. So for me, it's like I look at that on paper and I'm like, Arsenal should pick up most points. I look at that run of City and I'm like, after Villa, they're gonna clean sweep that whole
everybody.
thing.
They'll beat everybody in the Villa game. I think they'll smash Villa as well.
I wouldn't be surprised
considering how well we played against them at our ground. Despite the result, the City are going to smash them at home. Like I don't even think they have a chance. So So Arsenal, City's still top. Liverpool right there. I mean, there's only 4 points between first and fifth right now. Still, so it's still early enough that a lot can happen. But I think the 4 teams at the top currently are the 4 teams in the best form, and are of course that makes sense. Sometimes form teams lose games despite playing well, but it's gonna be a wacky December. 7 games in December. It's always so like bam, 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 bam. Like so other teams are gonna go through shit. I'm pretty sure that other teams. I mean, I don't know about comparing to our injury record, it's probably one of the worst I've ever seen. Especially adding suspensions to that. It's absurd the players that are out. We're actually going to probably have to call back loan players in January to fill our squad out if it continues the way it is. It's pretty brutal. So we're going to be starting our youth squad, our under 21s in some of those games.
It's not good luck.
It's terrible. But anything else you want to chat about, Phil, before we bounce?
No, man, we can make this a quick one. I
like it. It was nice and tight
style. I do like the one-on-one though. You get to get into things a little bit more, and
Paul doesn't interrupt you saying like, "Hey, we've heard enough about your team now."
We didn't even really mention their team. Well, I guess we mentioned Casemiro, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. I mean, to be fair, they have really good form. I think they're in 6th, just behind us, and point behind us as well. So to be fair to United fans, their form is one of the best in the league, despite them not looking. They're kind of like Arsenal. They're like getting away with it, winning games when they shouldn't. But that's what I guess good teams do. I don't know. I don't consider them a good team. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Appreciate being here with you, Azaz. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for watching the North End. We'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.
Take it easy.
This is the North End.